Rewind that.
Anyways, woo! Yeah, no, it was good. I caught it too. You caught it. Everybody else got it. I have 3 discs in the back of my neck from a helicopter crash in Afghanistan. I have shrapnel in my body. My grandson looks at my x-rays and he says, "Bubba, you're the Terminator." And so I find that my experience at the VA is this. People that work at the VA, 99% of them want to do everything they can for the veteran.
That's right.
But they're hamstrung by a bureaucracy that doesn't work effectively and efficiently. And that has to change. No more Band-Aid solutions. If Maggie Hassan pats herself on the back anymore for what she does for veterans, her arm is going to be permanently affixed in this position, because that's what she does. And I know veterans don't get the care that they need. And I know I'm one of them. But I want to go there and fix it. She also sits on the Veterans Committee, right? So one of the things that I worked with her with before I ran for office was a green alert system. We have unofficially figured out, through data mining, without a $1.3 million study, that about $10,000 veterans go missing every year. And more than 50% of them are found dead. So, I got together with some veterans and we came up with this idea about a green alert system, like Amber Alert and like Silver Alert for our veterans. And she was all for it. And I helped her team write the legislation. And I was very excited about this. And Joni Ernst co-sponsored it. But when I ran for office against Senator Shaheen, she withdrew the bill. And it hasn't seen the light of day since. That's terrible. Is that taking care of veterans? No. While we're sitting here for 2 hours, every 65 minutes, a veteran takes their life. So in the last 2 hours, 2 veterans somewhere, statistically, have taken their life. Worse. The new study that was just published. 30,000 service members, men and women, committed suicide from 2001 to 2020. Service members on active duty reserves, National Guard, actively serving. That's 3 Army divisions worth of people. In that same time frame, we lost 7,000 between Afghanistan and Iraq. Nobody says anything about the loss of 3 divisions worth of men and women to suicide in our U.S. military. It's the highest it's ever been. It's the highest it's ever been among veterans. Homelessness, unemployment, incarceration, all at all-time highs. But she solved all the veteran problems. There's more to be done. Nobody should be sitting on a pedestal or standing on a pedestal, patting themselves on the back while we have these kind of statistics in the men and women that serve our nation and that those that have served our nation. And more importantly, there are family programs that should be adopted, particularly for families that have served for 32 years together. And they're not. In the education program, I'm authorized 100% education benefits. But because I have a master's, 2 master's degrees, I can't take advantage of it. Because the rule says you can only use your 100% education fund to get a bachelor's degree. And if you already have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, you can't take that and get a doctorate or another master's, which I think is wrong as well. I earn that, just like everybody else, but I can't use it. And people aren't getting paid their stipends, and they're not able to pay schools, and then they're being suspended from school, and then they're not able to do the things that they need to do in school. This is terrible. It's wrong. Yes, sir.
First, I hope you win.
Thank you.
My name is Jay Block. I'm a Manchester native. I'm an elected official in New Mexico, and I ran for governor down there. And you said two things that are important to me and all of New Mexico: the border and energy. We're a border state. My fiance and I have been down to the border several times, and it's a complete disaster down there. We're suffering. The other thing that we're suffering in New Mexico is the energy policy of this administration. We are the second leading producer of energy in the United States and the great state of New Mexico. Over 130,000 jobs are related to that. We have two secretaries that I'll ask you if you would call for their resignation. Real simple question for you, General, because I'm a retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel, so this should be easy for an Army general.
Don't worry, I'm going to get him back.
Will you call for the resignation of Secretary Mayorkas, the Homeland Security? And will you call for the resignation of Deb Haaland, Secretary of the Interior? Those two things I'd like an answer on.
Sure.
The last thing I'd like an answer on from you, if you can remember three things being an Army guy.
Probably not.
Is when you become a United States Senator, because you will in November, I would like to invite you to come down to the border in New Mexico and see what is going on in my state and in this country, because I believe New Hampshire is a border state because of everything that comes through my home state of New Mexico. As an elected official, we're hurting. So those three things: will you call for the resignation of those two cabinet secretaries, and will you take up our offer in New Mexico to host you to take a tour of the border?
Okay, so because I'm an Army guy, I'm going to answer him in reverse. Yes, I will come to the border. You just need to make sure we have contact information, so when I do win this election, we can contact you and I can come down there, okay? Now, the next question. Will I ask for the resignations? I've already asked, and already on the record, for saying Secretary Mayorkas needs to be unconfirmed and removed from his office. I've already asked for that. Along with the... And I went further, because that's my personality. Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and all the service chiefs need to go. The Attorney General of the United States needs to go.
Amen.
And anybody underneath him that has contributed to the duality in this justice system and has weaponized the Department of Justice needs to go. That includes Bray or whatever the hell his name is over there in the FBI. I didn't think of the Department of Interior, but that's logical.
Because she's blocking.
She's blocking the stuff.
She's blocking oil and gas leases on federal lands, which
That's
is...
it right there. Boom, gotta go. Gotta go. And I'm not just saying that. There's many people that are going to be added to that list. What the Senate does as part of its constitutional responsibilities is to confirm cabinet members and judges. And it's like a rubber stamp. Oh, and general officers and admirals. And I've told Senator Cotton and many others, no more rubber stamps. We owe it to the American people and the people that we represent to pick someone that will be good for America. Not just because they're politicized, not because they're political people, not because, they ran part of their campaign. Like the other guy that needs to go is Buttigieg. He's Secretary of Transportation. What that guy has done to supply chain and everything else is unbelievable.
Buy electric.
Right. And he said some roads are racist because the bridges are too low. Come on. Anyways, we got a lot to do in bringing the federal government under control. It's a lot of work. I'm not naive about this, but I'm willing to do the hard work and roll up the sleeves and come out there and say this is what needs to be done, because people are very silent down there right now. And I'm not the kind of guy that's going to be silent about things that hurt Granite Staters and Americans. I'm just not. So, yes, to those things. Thank you for adding to my list and making me think of other things. But you're right, she is blocking all that stuff, and it's wrong. Yes, sir.
We have one more minute.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of veterans in this room. I can tell just by looking around. And a lot of veterans, thank you for your service, General, gave an oath. And I think it's a lifelong oath, not only to defend this country, but to uphold the Constitution of the United States against enemies, both foreign.
That's it right there.
I see you. Both foreign and domestic. And at the highest levels of government, whether it be potentially in the FBI, Department of Justice, we have some bad characters. And when you win and become senator, and when the Republicans take back the Senate and the House, I hope those bad characters are fleshed out and quickly, because I consider them domestic enemies. And the second thing, when you started out tonight, I think what has this nation on fire right now, as you talked about, is career politicians. I think one of the topics a lot of Americans discuss often and would vote in favor of is term limits.
Term limits.
And I don't know whatever can be introduced by the Senate and Congress for at least, and I don't want to take you out of a position you haven't acquired yet, but at least a couple runs. If you're successful, would you come out after 2? And would you put forth whatever can be done by the Senate and Congress to institute term limits?
Ted Cruz has already put the legislation in. I'll be glad to co-sponsor it and work my butt off to get that across the goal line. So yes, to that question, I will only do 2 terms.
Mm-hmm.
I believe two terms as a senator, 12 years is enough. Then you come home and you contribute to your community in a positive way by being a former U.S. senator, right, inside your community and, you know, to the benefit of your state, right, because that's what is important to me. I did it 33 and a half years in the military. I was born and raised in this state. I came back to this state when I was done retiring for the same reasons. Loyalty to this state. My family is here. Everything that I learned, my values, my ethics, God, family, community, country is here, and I wanted to come back here for that reason.
And do you see a vehicle, a media to implement term limits?
There's a couple of ways,
yourself.
but legislation is probably going to be the best way to do it.
Obviously.
It's probably going to be the longest way to do it, but I feel there's enough Americans behind that we can get enough influence from you, we the people, to be able to get that across the goal line, because that's what we need. We need people involved in their government. It belongs to them, not the people in Washington, D.C. And that's what we really need. Thank you. There he is. So I just would like to end this with a little bit of a joke, right? Because I got to get back at my Air Force friend over here.
There you go.
So that you automatically know the Air Force is going to be the butt of the joke. So throughout history, our different services have developed battle cries. And these battle cries have become an integral part of the military, even for answering questions. Like, hey, Private, I want you to go dig that foxhole. Who? Sergeant, right? Or you say something else to them and they go, "Hooah." That means their version of "go take a hike." But nonetheless, it's hooah, right? Different version. Well, all the services do that. Well, so the Army, the oldest service, I'll start out with that. Their battle cry is hooah, right? So on 3, give me a good hooah. 1, 2, 3. Hooah! Yeah, that's great.
Hoorah.
The Marine Corps is next. And theirs is hoorah. Hoorah, right?
Hoorah.
So please, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Hoorah! That's right.
Number 5.
The Navy and the Coast Guard. Hoo-yah! Hoo-yah! Give me a hoo-yah. 1, 2, 3. Hoo-yah! All right. The Air Force, our youngest service.
No, Space Force.
Oh, yes. The Air Force battle cry is this: where's the remote? I gotta get a little bit more familiar with the climate and culture of the Space Force. I gotta come up with something for them too. If they haven't already developed something for themselves by the nature of their climate and culture, right? But regardless of that, I am so honored. We won this primary. We did it the right way. We got out on the ground for 2 years. We spent less than $500,000. I was outspent 20-1. We went to every town and city. We did the hard work and talked to everybody. We agreed to disagree with some. I've been sworn at. I've been given, read between the lines. I have been spit at. I've gone through the ringer. And that's okay, because that's what it takes. But what we're lacking big time is respect. And I respect everybody. Regardless of their opinions or ideas, I still respect them. And as your senator, it's my obligation to support everybody the best I possibly can for the best outcome. And that's just simply not being done. So we won it by doing the hard work. We won it. I didn't win it, we won it. And I thank you very much for that. And we can win this general election. She spent over $23 million to date, and she's going to spend even more before November 8th. And I am going to work hard on the ground, because she's not doing these. I am. You look at my schedule, and I called it out today. Take any 36-hour period. I do more in 36 hours than she does in 36 weeks here in the Granite State. And that's a fact, and that should mean something. So God bless you, God bless America, and let's live free or die, please.
So we just finished watching the town hall of the Republican candidate for U.S. Senate, Don Bolduc.
I'm going on the radio with Mark Levin in about 15 minutes. So I normally stay and mingle. I can do that for a few minutes. Anybody that wants to ask me any questions, because some people don't like to ask questions in front of others, I will be standing right here until I get the hook to go get on the radio with Mark Levin. So God bless you all. Yes.
Yeah, so we just finished watching the town hall of U.S. Republican U.S. Senate candidate Don Bolduc at the restaurant Taphouse in Hooksett, New Hampshire on Wednesday, October 12, 2022. Ciao Kelly from Level 5 Media reporting live in Hooksett, New Hampshire. Thanks for watching, everyone. And if you want to help out by donation or volunteer, please go to the www.donbolduc.com. Signing out. Thanks for watching, everyone, and thanks for sharing.